Hello, I'm Smita Vassan, and I'm joined today by Patrick Hirsch, who heads up the Bowman's Project Finance practice. In this series of 3 recordings, I'm going to be picking Patrick's brains on the pros, the cons, and the prospects of public-private partnerships, or PPPs, in addressing South Africa's worsening infrastructure backlogs. We're going to be chatting about the latest developments in the field and what needs to happen to ensure PPPs live up to their potential. Patrick, hi, and thank you for taking your time to share your insights with us. To begin with, and perhaps could you give us an overview of the current status of infrastructure-related PPPs in South Africa?
Thanks, Smita. I've been working in this field for almost 20 years, and I don't believe that the potential of PPPs to fast-track infrastructure development has ever really been fully exploited. The PPP landscape in South Africa has been static for the better part of a decade, with an average of less than 1 PPP being closed a year since 2007. And all but one of these have been government office accommodation PPPs, which can't really be regarded as critical or priority infrastructure. So let's look at some facts and figures. According to the National Development Plan, infrastructure spending needs to be at about 30% of GDP. The target set by Patricia de Lille, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, is 23% of GDP by 2024. So how does this compare with reality? Well, actual spending falls far short of that and continues to dwindle year by year. By 2019, spending on infrastructure had fallen to 18% of GDP, and most of it contributed by the private sector. Government's contribution in 2019 stood at only 5.4%, and its resources are now even more constrained as a result of COVID-19.
Those are some interesting stats, Patrick, but this brings me to my next question. What's changed recently to reinvigorate this interest in PPPs?
Well, South Africa's infrastructure backlogs have been a cause for concern for some time, with infrastructure breakdowns becoming more and more economically disruptive. Fortunately, the need to create an infrastructure-driven economic recovery in the wake of the pandemic has created a sense of urgency around stimulating infrastructure development. And so, as is the case with many crises, the COVID-19 lockdown has, to a certain extent, been a catalyst to action, highlighting the need for a collective effort to build sustainable infrastructure if we are to achieve economic recovery. How can we do that? In both government and the private sector, there seems to be agreement that PPPs are one of a very limited number of viable mechanisms for stimulating and accelerating infrastructure investment.
So has there been any sort of action or indication by governments to prompt this further?
Yes. In June last year, just 3 months into lockdown, President Ramaphosa, in his address to the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium of South Africa, once again emphasized that infrastructure is at the center of the stimulus our economy needs to recover. More recently, Finance Minister Tito Mboweni directly mentioned PPPs in his 2021 budget speech. He cited in particular the upgrading of South Africa's 6 busiest border posts using the PPP model, starting with Beitbridge.
And has any real progress been made?
I believe so. In keeping with the intention to do so, both the government and the private sector have been working on initiatives aimed at turning this aspiration into reality. For example, in March this year, National Treasury held a workshop on PPPs, and specifically its plans to reform and upgrade the PPP framework and standard documents. Only a day later, Business Leadership South Africa held a roundtable discussion on infrastructure development, tabling a report that it had commissioned from Intellidex, which examined the obstacles and solutions to greater infrastructure investment in South Africa. It listed PPPs as one of the best mechanisms that can be employed in the sourcing of infrastructure funding in terms of 3 critical factors: overall economic impact, lowest fiscal risk, and greatest public value.
Patrick, would it be fair to say that there's some movement in the right direction, but that there's still a long way to go?
Definitely. What's really important is that there's clearly an intent on the part of government and the private sector to harness PPPs to revitalize infrastructure development and the economy.
So some positive progress with regard to intent, but still the big questions are whether and how intention can be translated into action. I'll be asking Patrick for his views on how South Africa can go about unlocking the potential of infrastructure related triple Ps in our next episode.